A special look at the Fantastic Four.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We got another first look at the Fantastic Four movie. There's a bunch of Easter eggs here, references, so we'll break it all down. We've already gotten a larger Comic-Con trailer, and a lot of the footage they've already shown off shows the team before they get their powers, but now we're finally starting to see what they look like after they get their powers. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. They're in the middle of filming the movie, so that's why we're starting to actually get footage from the set. So we're actually starting to see what the movie looks like. This next clip is of Ben Grimm, the Thing, played by Ebon Moss-Bachrach. During the Comic-Con trailer, you actually hear Reed Richards talking to the camera with him during what seems like a documentary in-universe that the United States is doing about their team before they go on their mission and get their powers.
Let's look into the news. Well, that's one interpretation. Yeah, that's the only interpretation.
Like, this is all before they get into the accident that gives them powers. Notice that the footage of him with his powers in his Thing form looks like he's wearing a physical suit on set. Kind of like the classic Fantastic Four movies. Like we just saw Chris Evans come back as his Johnny Storm from those movies in Deadpool and Wolverine. Foul-mouthed as ever. Chris Evans said that was one of the conditions for him actually coming back. Like he told Ryan Reynolds, you have to let me be as foul-mouthed as possible, because he never got to do that as Captain America. Language. Also, he said that they had to leave that scene of him, the post-credit scene, in the movie. They couldn't cut it out. But for the new Fantastic Four movie, Ebon Moss-Bachrach actually revealed before they started filming that they were going to be doing his thing as motion capture, just like they did for the new Kelsey Grammer version of Beast during the Marvel's post-credit scene. The Hulk that they've done for all the Marvel movies, also Red Hulk now too, which is all traditional motion capture. So my assumption is they just built this physical Thing suit for him to wear in some scenes to help approximate the scale when he's with the other characters. There's a little bit of footage of him in the Comic-Con trailer where you see them walking to the launch pad, like their Excelsior launch pad, which is a big Stan Lee Easter egg.
And of course, I can't leave without saying Excelsior.
You can actually see where the Baxter building in their launch pad is in Manhattan, in their version of New York City. I think because they released this trailer before they'd actually really started filming the movie a lot, it just meant to be more of a concept trailer that Marvel released for the purposes of Comic-Con. And in the actual movie, all this footage will be shown on like a highlight reel in the background of a scene, because the movie isn't meant to be an origin story. So like they'll already have their powers when the actual movie picks up, and they'll probably just reference their origin story throughout the movie. Like someone will see this footage of them from before their accident during the movie while they have their powers and the actual adventure the movie is playing out. So if it wasn't clear, he's not going to actually look like this during the movie. Like they'll tune him way up with motion capture visual effects. If you've ever seen Robert Downey Jr. or his stunt doubles walking around on sets as his version of Iron Man, sometimes they'll walk around sets with just the chest piece in the helmet, or like just the helmet sometimes, or just the chest piece sometimes. Not the actual entire suit, not like a physical suit, at least since the original Iron Man movies. Like for a little while, they did use an actual physical suit and make him walk around on set. But eventually they just started doing Iron Man mostly as motion capture, so you just see him walking around most of the time with a suit with dots all over himself, so he doesn't have to actually wear the suit. So it's probably the same deal for a lot of the Things scenes, but they do need some visual effects references so that when the people are working on it in post-production, they actually have something to reference it to so they know the scale. I just did a video about Marvel's new announcement that they're bringing Ultron back for the White Vision TV show, and it's going to be James Spader coming back to play Ultron. They did Ultron the exact same way in Avengers Age of Ultron. Like James Spader spent most of his time on set and on a special motion capture stage in a suit with dots on it. Mark Ruffalo calls it the man-canceling suit because it's so tight, it makes it look like he's not a man, like he doesn't have any junk or balls, like you can't tell that he's a man if you didn't see his face. Ebon Moss-Bachrach said that Mark Ruffalo actually gave him a quick class in motion capture acting for Marvel movies. He's done that for a lot of actors too that have done motion capture, just because he's done more motion capture than the majority of Marvel actors. The only other person who actually comes close would be Andy Serkis, who played Ulysses Claw, but that's not a motion capture role. All of Andy Serkis's motion capture experience mostly comes from the Lord of the Rings movies like Gollum, the Hobbit movies, also from all the Planet of the Apes movies as Caesar. So a lot of times other movies, when they're doing motion capture, will bring Andy Serkis or even like Mark Ruffalo on to give advice to actors when they have to do the same thing. The other really big detail here that most people are talking about is the actual Fantastic Four suits that like Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm are wearing. It looks more like the classic ones from the original comics of the 60s, just like loose cloth suits. Because the whole movie is meant to have the vibe of a period piece from the 60s, the present day of the movie is still in the 1960s in an alternate universe that they come from. Both he and Johnny Storm are wearing the exact same version of the suit. Ben Grimm's is just like a bigger version of that suit. They released a much better look at it in the D23 teaser that they released. It's kind of funny that they're all sitting here looking totally normal, but Johnny Storm is the only one wearing his suit. That's because they just started filming and Kevin Feige had them film this just to do the reveal for the actual suits. That's why Ben Grimm doesn't actually look like the Thing. Because this isn't actually meant to be footage from the movie, it's more of a behind-the-scenes kind of first look just for the suit itself. Probably the other biggest new thing, literally and metaphorically, is Galactus and Franklin Richards. This is actually Sue Storm with baby Franklin Richards, like he's going to be born during the events of the movie. So a lot of people have realized the movie's called Fantastic Four First Steps. That's the official title. Even though it sounds kind of like a weird title, it's a reference to a couple different concepts. Neil Armstrong's quote from the moon landing, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," because the team are meant to be pioneers in the world that they come from, in the world of science. Reed Richards coming up with a theory about alternate universes existing. We can actually hear him talking about it, giving a lecture during the trailer they released at Comic-Con. And the first steps is also a literal reference to baby Franklin Richards being born and actually taking his real first steps, like a child's literal first steps. One small step for a baby Fantastic Four character, one giant leap for a Fantastic Four team as they meet giant Galactus. The actual current report in the movie is that one of the reasons that Galactus probably shows up to their Earth is because he senses Franklin Richards' power when he's born. In the comics, Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful people in the Marvel Universe. He's one of the only things or people that Galactus is actually afraid of. Eventually, Galactus becomes the herald of Franklin Richards. There's even an adventure where like an older version of Franklin Richards meets with a younger version of himself. He winds up reviving Galactus, turning him into his herald. It's a crazy story. I don't expect the movies to take it that far yet, but we might see some loose references to that, because I think for the most part, in the next couple of movies through Avengers Secret Wars, Franklin Richards will still be very, very young. But one of Franklin Richards' key abilities is the power to create entire alternate universes. During the more modern version of Secret Wars that they're borrowing from the upcoming Avengers 6 movie in the MCU, is they used Franklin Richards' power at the end of that to help recreate the multiverse so that all the different characters could go back to their original universes. I would not be surprised if we see some versions of that in the upcoming Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 movies. Like, the plots of those movies will be different from the comics. It won't be an exact carbon copy paste, but there'll be some loose references to some moments from those comics. And Kevin Feige did reveal that the new Fantastic Four team will be in both of those upcoming Avengers movies. The other really big reveal that Marvel has made recently is that Robert Downey Jr.'s new Doctor Doom character will be the Doctor Doom, or supposed to be the Doctor Doom, of this Fantastic Four's universe. Like, he'll come from their universe. The first time we're supposed to actually see him in live action, like in the movies, is supposed to be at the end of this new Fantastic Four movie. I don't know if that means post-credit scene or if it's going to be during the actual end part of the movie, because supposedly Doctor Doom will play a small role in the film. But like I said, the movie isn't meant to be an origin story, so they'll have already been on a lot of their adventures and faced a lot of their villains when the movie picks up, so they might have already faced this Robert Downey Jr. version of Doctor Doom at some point in their universe. Most of the big questions about Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is what his actual backstory is going to be in that universe. Like, was he born Doctor Doom? Was he adopted by the Von Doom family? And that's why he looks like Tony Stark from the 616 Marvel Universe? We have seen variants of characters on Loki and on other series in the movies, like Deadpool and Wolverine, for instance, with variants of characters that look different from the original versions, like very, very different looking. But because Marvel tends to hand-wave over a lot of details like this, I wouldn't get too deep into the weeds on it. They might just wave their hand and say that he's just Victor Von Doom from an alternate universe, and there's no special backstory, like he wasn't adopted or anything. He just happens to be Victor Von Doom in that universe. My guess is that what happens is that we won't actually see his face as Robert Downey Jr., like we won't recognize him as Robert Downey Jr. until one of the Avengers movies, like Avengers 5, Doomsday. So the first time he actually shows up in the Fantastic Four movie, he'll be under the mask, so it'll still be a bit of a mystery, even though we all know that he's going to be Doctor Doom. So like the people watching the movie will already be clued in to who he really is. I think part of the twist that they're looking for in Avengers 5 Doomsday is when he comes to the MCU, like the 616 universe, and starts fighting all the regular new Avengers characters who knew Tony Stark. It's meant to be a really shocking reveal in the movie when his mask falls off and he looks just like their friend who died during Avengers Endgame. So they're probably saving the reveal for like a big twist like that during Avengers 5. Like, oh my god, wait a minute, is it Tony Stark? And then he fights them, tries to kill a bunch of them, and they're like, wait a minute, no, why is Tony Stark trying to kill us? One of the changes that I am expecting for the character is that he won't speak with a traditional Latverian accent, like he'll just sound like normal Robert Downey Jr. Although Robert Downey Jr. has recently done roles where he's altered his voice for other characters, I do not expect them to do that for his character in Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 because he will probably get a lot of dialogue. And him doing a weird accent for like a little bit, for like a brief second, isn't that big of a deal. But I think if he's going to be in most of both of those movies and talking a lot, then they want him to sound like normal Robert Downey Jr. Maybe like a slightly more boomy, imperious sounding version of Robert Downey Jr.'s normal voice, but not like a weird accent. Normally, I'd say I'd rather see a more European version of Doctor Doom, like someone who actually sounds like what you think Doctor Doom is meant to sound like in the comics. But I think as long as Robert Downey Jr.'s version isn't totally lame and it makes a little bit of sense, it'll probably be okay just because he will not continue to be Doctor Doom, like the main Doctor Doom after Secret Wars. So if you're hoping for a more comic book accurate Doctor Doom, I think we'll eventually get that, but not till after Secret Wars. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below. Click here for that longer version of the Comic-Con trailer that I've already done a video about, and click here for that new Thunderbolts trailer. That movie's coming out right before the new Fantastic Four movie. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.